Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on MTV Sports, live from the News First studios in Colombo. I'm Nadim Majid.
A very good evening. I'm Mahina Bongzu. As usual, we start off with a look at the stories making headlines tonight.
In your headlines this evening, UNP and government members of the PSC that examined the impeachment motion against the Chief Justice decide not to appear before court. Displaying the retail prices for medicine made mandatory. CBSL reiterates the need to revise the prices of fuel and electricity. UNP Deputy Leader requests that Parliament be prorogued next week and steps be taken to provide relief to people affected by natural disasters.
Moving on to the stories in detail now. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka reiterates the need to revise pricing at the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and the Ceylon Electricity Board in order to deliver them from continuous losses. Presenting the 2013 Economic Roadmap, Governor of the Central Bank, Ajit Nivad Cabral, noted that the government debt has risen due to the heavy losses suffered by these institutions.
The credit to the public corporations, of course, increased, particularly the two major corporations, the CEB and the CPC, which was for various reasons, maybe good reasons, but yet we would have preferred if that amount of credit was not provided to the public corporations and that it had been lesser than what they have been able to take on. You would find that in the case of CEB as well as the CPC, they are still running at a loss, and we need to change that. Pricing has to be adjusted if that is to be changed, and I believe that's an area that the government as well as the policymakers, as far as the CEB and the CPC are concerned, will have to reflect upon during the course of 2013.
The central bank also notes that the economic growth target of 8% that was suggested at the beginning of the year has been downgraded to 6.5%. The governor of the central bank said that they expect an economic growth rate of 7.5% this year.
The IMF also sets out estimates every year, and they revise it at least 3 times. In Sri Lanka also we do that. Whenever we believe that there is a necessity to revise our estimates, we do revise those. But sometimes people who do not understand this very well might think that there is a mistake here, and they say that in public, but I guess that only reflects on themselves because they may not be fully aware of the way economic estimates are made. Locally, we did see the excessive credit demand and high imports being seen. It was, as some mentioned, a victim of our own success, where the good feeling, the enhancement of business confidence, all that made the import growth, the banking sector credit growth, higher than what we expected, but yet the steps were necessarily taken to take that bend once again. Drought conditions affected us in the middle of the year, as a result of which the third quarter was slightly less than what we expected, and as a result we had to revise down our growth forecast for this year to about 6.5%.
On to another headline-making story. Government and UNP members of the Parliamentary Select Committee, which was appointed to examine the impeachment motion against the Chief Justice, have decided not to appear in the Court of Appeal tomorrow. However, the Democratic National Alliance says their representative will be present in court tomorrow. The Tamil National Alliance says that their representative will be represented by lawyers in court tomorrow. On the 21st of December, the Court of Appeal, considering an application for writs of certiorari and prohibition filed by the Chief Justice challenging the findings of the Parliamentary Select Committee, issued notices on the members of the PSC, the Speaker and General Secretary of Parliament to appear in court tomorrow. The United National Party has arrived at a decision. We do not expect to go before court regarding the Parliamentary Select Committee process. Party leader Ranil Wickremesinghe hopes to make a clear statement regarding this following his arrival in the country tomorrow. The tentative decision that we have arrived at is that we are not prepared to go to court for a parliamentary affair.
We will not go to court. There is no need for us to go to court. We must respect the sovereignty of the Parliament. It is a duty we have accepted in accordance with the Constitution. Our stance is that since the duties of the committee were completed and the report was submitted, we are no longer members of the committee. Therefore, there is no need for us to go to court as members of that committee. There is no point in shutting the stable door after the horse has bolted.
We have decided to participate in court proceedings tomorrow as per the notice. An attempt is being made to hide behind parliamentary supremacy and evade court in an attempt to continue the government's hunt for the Chief Justice. In political movements, we must successfully comprehend not only the sentence but the meaning of the sentence.
Mr. Sammannan, the TNA leader, was a member of the Parliamentary Select Committee inquiring into the impeachment motion against the Chief Justice, and Mr. Sammannan will be represented in tomorrow's hearing.
Meanwhile, News First made inquiries from Deputy Speaker Chandima Weerakkodi as to whether the Speaker or Secretary General of Parliament will respond in kind to the notices issued by the court.
Honourable Speaker will continue to uphold his decision in respect of the notices that he received from the Court of Appeal in the same regard. And also the Secretary General to the Parliament, as per the provisions of Parliamentary Privileges Act, as an officer of Parliament acting under the directions of Parliament, is entitled to be covered by privileges and immunities of Parliament.
UMP parliamentarian Iran Vikramaratne says that there is no clash between the Parliament and the judiciary. The parliamentarian made this statement during a function held in Colombo today.
People often turn around and ask me, what is the clash between Parliament and the judiciary? There is no clash between Parliament and judiciary. The clash in this country is between the executive and the judiciary. The clash has been created and parked in Parliament. Nobody can be independent. The Securities Exchange Council has a chairman appointed, and within a space of 9 months, 2 chairpersons that were appointed, Indrani Sugatadasa and Tilak Karunaratne, were both removed. What is the reason that they were removed? Without getting into the nitty-gritty of it, it's an issue of you cannot be independent from the executive. That is the crux of the issue in this country.
On a related note, issuing a communique, the Lawyers Collective has called on officials to halt hate campaigns against the judiciary. They warn that if judicial pronouncements are not respected, there would be anarchy. Now, the Lawyers Collective says that all organs of the state and the political parties and their leadership are bound to respect the Constitution, which is based on the rule of law, and adds that no one is above the law. Through the communique, the collective urges politicians not to push the country towards anarchy and to desist from all actions that embarrassing and compromising constitutional values. They note that the day politicians and state organs decide not to follow the court's decisions, Sri Lanka will cease to be a constitutional democracy and would then be a complete authoritarian state. The Lawyers Collective urges all political leaders and all organs of the state to preserve the constitutional and democratic values and not to allow the country to fall into a state of total lawlessness.
A special guest visited the Mother Teresa Children's Home in Rawatawatha, Moratuwa this morning.
It was a special day for the children of the Mother Teresa Children's Home as President Mahinda Rajapaksa, bearing gifts for the new year, paid them a visit. The President spent time with the children who were delighted to receive gifts from him. Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit and several others were present at the occasion. Thereafter, the head of state also visited the Sarvodaya source at the nutrition center and distributed gifts among the children.
Displaying the retail price for medicine during sale has been made mandatory with effect from today. Now, according to the Gazette notification issued by the Consumer Affairs Authority, the price should be displayed by medicine importers and manufacturers.
If we allow the sellers to display the retail price, they may display a price they wish. That is why we made this decision. This decision will be implemented and will not be withdrawn under any circumstance. It is mandatory to inform the Consumer Affairs Authority about the retail price. The minister also responded to a question raised by a journalist as to whether permission has been granted to increase gas prices. Love Gas has requested for a 500 rupee increase and Litro has requested for an increase of about 300 rupees. However, we are yet to make a decision. The pricing committee will gather to discuss whether a price hike is necessary.
Customs officers at the Drug Control Unit at the Katunayaka Airport have seized a stock of narcotics worth over 20 million rupees, which were being smuggled into the country. The drugs, weighing about 2 kilograms, were being smuggled in by an Iranian national.
The passenger who attempted to smuggle the drugs into the country was on an inbound flight from Georgia via Doha, Qatar. Airport Customs said that the stock of narcotics, which had been hidden inside a piece of luggage, was discovered by customs officers last evening. The drugs were craftily concealed inside the luggage and therefore the customs officers had to bear an immense effort to remove it. The passenger who attempted to smuggle the narcotics is a 29-year-old Iranian national. Customs officers said that a gram of the smuggled narcotics could be valued at around 100,000 rupees.
This drug is
methamphetamine. It's an expensive drug. He was arrested when he was trying to leave the airport. Alha Perum added that about 2 months ago, 2 Iranian nationals who attempted to smuggle narcotics into the country were arrested. On to more headline-making news. Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Sajith Premadasa, says that the government mechanism must dedicate itself towards proroguing Parliament in the coming week and take steps to provide relief to people affected by natural disasters. Premadasa made this statement at a media briefing held in Colombo today.
I cannot see the same enthusiasm that they had to bring dancers, race cars and sandbag the roads being displayed in providing relief to over 400,000 people affected by floods. I propose that Parliament be prorogued next week and that the entire government mechanism, all 1.4 million public officials, come together to provide relief for the 400,000 affected by the floods. There will be no benefit to the country in wasting our time talking about suicide.
The National Conference on the Role of Youth in Reconciliation was held in Colombo today. Minister of External Affairs Professor G.L. Piris delivered the introductory address, while UPFA parliamentarian Nama Rajapaksa was the keynote speaker at the conference, organised by the Lakshman Kadiragame Institute of International Relations and Strategic Studies.
So in our schools and in our universities, the academic lives and even the social lives of students have become separate, watertight compartments. Now that is a system which tends unwittingly to accentuate the differences rather than the very significant similarities. So the pity of it is that a Sinhala child has no opportunity of realizing for himself that his hopes, his anxieties and his aspirations are in no way different from those of a Tamil child. What are they all looking for? They're looking for a decent life, a good job, a family, and to live with dignity in their country. There's no fundamental difference.
I wish to emphasize that the youth have an enormous responsibility to ensure that the reconciliation becomes a great success in this battered nation. And I'm certain that our youth will ensure that incidents such as the ones that destroyed our nation will never happen in the future. Because our youth today are empowered to lead this nation as one united team. Youth are the lifeblood of a country, and the perception they carry into their adulthood will determine whether that nation will prosper or not.